Tribe. Surfer Joe here, stoked to be part of the 10th anniversary of this, the Honolulu Surf Film Festival. Let's go on inside and let's go surfing.
Of Art at the Doris Duke Theater, here to celebrate our 10th anniversary, the closing of our 10th anniversary of the Honolulu Surf Film Festival. The festival was founded by my predecessor Gina Caruso, as well as Eric and Jackie Walden from Chinatown Boardroom. Our presenting sponsor Nordstrom has supported this festival the past 5 years. And what the presenting sponsorship does is that it allows us to celebrate surf cinema for the entire month of July. And now I really need to thank Aqua Hospitality and Surf Jack Hotel and Swim Club. Teresa Van Brunion is here in the audience. And I don't know if you're here, where are you? Yay, you're in the front! Yes! And I need to also thank Subaru Hawaii for sponsoring the festival the first time this year and for working with us to bring Carissa Moore for a special screening of Gibbon. Kona Brewing Company, who has sponsored us for the past 7 years, making sure that our bar is fully stocked. Honolulu Magazine for being our media sponsor, and lastly, the Surf News Network and Gary Cooley. Thank you to Men in Gray Suits for the entertainment, and Shaka Tea. And of course, thank you to all of the amazing pioneers who are here with us in the audience who will be participating in the post-screening panel afterwards. You've taught us to really remember to always honor and respect history, and that surf cinema would not be possible without Bud Browne and the amazing surfers who Bud Browne depicted. And it's because of your enduring support. You come here every year the past 8 years, and I'm just really humbled to even be a small part of this event. So thank you. So, with that, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Sarah Fang, who she stepped up to the plate 2 years ago. It was the first time programming anything, and she totally rose to the occasion and beyond. So please join me in welcoming and give a big round of applause to Sarah Fang.
So much for coming. I don't know how sick you are of hearing my voice, but I have been here for a lot of screenings. Opening night, we kicked off with Taylor Steele. He was awesome. He was here for his new film, Proximity, which was our opening night film. Thank you to all our special guests. Not to mention Anna Trent Moore and all the legends you'll see tonight. So thank you all so much for adding so much to this festival, making the audience experience even more special than it is. Now, I'd like to introduce from the Bud Browne Archives. She was born and raised in Makaha. She's the daughter of big wave pioneer Buzzy Trent. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Anna Trent Moore.
It is my pleasure to announce the first award. Heart-rendering, poignantly delectable. Its message was not only profoundly awakening, but deliciously beautiful. It gives me great pleasure to announce the winner of this year's People's Choice Award, Forgiven by Jess Bianchi.
I am now very, very excited to be presenting the award for the Audience Choice for Best Short. It's a beautiful film with a beautiful story, all in a compact 17 minutes, beautifully shot. I am very, very delighted to be presenting this award to Lumiere, part of our Surf Like a Girl program, directed by Tay Steele, and who's here with us tonight, so please join me in welcoming Tay Steele to the stage.
Aloha. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Definitely want to thank, first of all, just the Honolulu Surf Film Festival. The whole team. I got to know Sarah and Taylor, and just have people so excited about our films as filmmakers. That's something you really, really appreciate, and it's contagious. Sarah, I'm pretty sure will be here after we all leave tonight still watching the film. She's just so excited. So it's awesome to have that support, and then again, just have this platform. Any of you might know John Mozo, surf photographer on the North Shore. It's been a privilege for me to be a little bit of that story, a part of that, and to be able to share how Amber's continued his legacy through her own photography. So thank you all again, and enjoy the night. Aloha.
And then I have the final award, which is the director's choice, and this was a team choice. This was a staff choice, and the director's choice award goes to Nervous Laughter. And Nervous Laughter was the feature film that looked at the best Maui surfers as they tackle Jaws. And I have a director's note, or a director's comment that I'd like to read to everyone from director Dan Norkunas. I just want to thank everyone at the Honolulu Museum of Art and all the organizers of the Honolulu Film Festival. Surf content is being injected in short films, mostly through social media these days, but there is still a place for storytelling and more thought-out films. Thanks to all the other filmmakers for sharing their unique stories, and thanks again to the Honolulu Surf Film Festival for showcasing these films through the aesthetics of the ocean. And I'd like to invite Anna Trent Moore, and also to really thank her for making this evening possible, and she's going to introduce the films for this evening. Thank you.
Big mahalo again to Taylor Chan, Sarah Fang, and Manette Ferrer for piecing together a most fantastic festival this year. An extra shout out to Sarah Fang, who executed a flawless job programming and organizing the festival. Well done, girl. I'd also like to thank our good friend Kyle Metcalf, faithful videographer of the festival over these many years, documenting it all, just not for us, but for all others beyond our shores to share. Kyle, you do a good thing. I'd like to acknowledge some of them in the house tonight. Joey Cabell. Peter Cole. Timo Hollinger. Rob Sutherland. Randy Rarick. Mark Cunningham. Jeannie Chesser. Ben Ipa. Billy Hamilton. Clyde Aikau. Larry Bertelman. And Mr. Joe Quigg. Thank you all for gracing us with your presence this evening. After the film, we look forward to the talk story portion of the evening and hearing your stories. I was talking to Keone Downing yesterday, and when I was talking, or actually listening to Keone, I suddenly realized that Keone had become his father. And what he left me was, they made their stories. You made your stories. And we all make our own stories. And tonight we are so grateful to be sharing the stories from all of you special people that have graced us with your presence, that will be up here on stage and in the house to share them. I was greatly influenced by extraordinary storytellers in my life. The most influential being my father, Buzzy Trent, my Hanai, Bud Browne, and my beloved friend, Ricky Gregg. Whenever parting company with each of them, they felt a compulsion to leave me with something, a gift of words to remember. And so, carrying on in this tradition, I too, each time, before stepping to this podium, feel compelled to give you something, to give you a gift. And tonight, it is this, a Native American proverb, and it goes, Tell me a fact, and I will learn. Tell me a truth, and I will believe. But tell me a story, and it will live in my heart forever. And this is what we have done at the Honolulu Surf Film Festival every year for the past 10 years. We tell the story of surfing and its people so that it might live in our hearts forever. And of course, the telling of surfing stories through surf cinema began with Bud Browne. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I bring you Bud Browne by Ira Opper. Mr. Ira Opper, Joey Cabell, Clyde Aikau, Jeannie Chester, Randy Rurick, Peter Cole, Keeble Hollinger, Jock Sutherland, Billy Hamilton, and Larry Berlin. Come on down. Our first guest is Ira Opper. All filmmakers are storytellers, and our first guest continues to share surfing stories most prolifically. Born in Hawaii and raised in Hawaii, learning to surf from George Downing and Rabbit Kid Kai, he has been called the perfect surfer because everything he has done well. Also recognized for keeping Hawaii happy and well-fed with his renowned Chart House restaurants, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage the one and only Joey Cabell. Our next guest was at the forefront of early women's pro competition in a male-dominated arena. Part of the brat pack of women surfers, among whom were Rel Sun, Jericho Poplar, Marga Olbert, Lynn Boyer, all instrumental in carving the path for professional women surfers today. She was the mother of North Shore big wave charger Todd Chesser, and she can still be found at the break of day surfing Alawana Bowl on her teeny tiny surfboard. She is an inspiration to us all, Miss Jeannie Chesser. Triple Crown of Surfing from 1983 through 2012. His contributions as one of the founders of professional surfing is historically impactful in an unprecedented way. Long before paving the way for professional surfing, he was a young Remy who was taught to surf by legendary Rabbit Kid Kai. An ambassador of surfing in every sense of the word, he has surfed over 60 countries. A surfboard designer and shaper, everything about this man spells surfing. He knows it, he lives it, he's Randy Rurick. Our next guest has been an integral figurehead at the Honolulu Surf Film Festival Bud Browne Night for the past 8 years. He has been a surfer for nearly 70 years. A Kama'aina who has lived in Hawaii for over 60 years, raising a family and married to the love of his life, Sally Cole. Growing up in Southern California, surfing with childhood buddies Buzzy Trent and Kit Horn, he followed a dream of moving to Hawaii in pursuit of surfing the biggest waves he could find, where he found it on the north shore of Oahu. It gives me great pleasure to bring up longtime friend of Bud Browne and my father's Buzzy Trent, Mr. Peter Cole. Winner of the Duka Championship in 1967 and 2 rider extraordinaire, he was doing it then and he's still doing it now. Here to join us to tell the stories, Mr. Jock Sutherland. Known for his smooth, stylistic approach to surfing, he was one of Bud Browne's young surfers and a good friend. All the way from Kauai today, tonight with us, Mr. Billy Hamilton. performed extreme moves that appeared effortless. A surfer, a skateboarder, and one of surfing's earliest rock stars, Larry Bertleman. He has been here for the last 8 years with us, and we live to hear his stories, his humor, and his wit. The one and only Mr. Kimo Hollinger. And finally, it gives me great pride and joy to welcome our next guest. Not only because he represents Hawaii's lifeblood, but also because he is a reminder of the roots we must honor and never forget. This year, the Hokulea found its way home after its extraordinary 4-year journey around the world. A vessel reminding us of the greatness and daring of the Hawaiian people and the heart of one man, Mr. Eddie Aikau. With great love and aloha, I bring to you from the Aikau family, Mr. Clyde Aikau. Who did I miss? Mr. Ben Aikau, because I'm saving the best for last. Mr. Ben Aikau. I want to share a little story about Mr. Ben Aikau. Ricky Grigg, my dear friend, every year when I would come to Hawaii, would have a surfboard waiting for me. And it was a large surfboard. And my husband would always say, that board is too big for you. It was almost 12 feet long. But I say, I don't care. And I take that board from Ricky's lock place at the outrigger, and I paddle it out at Rice Bowls, and I would surf and feel like Princess Kaulani. Because that board was a magic carpet. Because Mr. Ben Aikau is a magical shaper. You are incredible, and it is such an honor to have you here, Mr. Ben Aikau. Let's give it up. If you don't mind, now I would like to give a little teeny tiny question to each of you and then open it out to the house. And the first one I'd like to be for Mr. Ira Opper. Bud was a quiet man who described himself as a man of few words. Yet you captured him so well in your film. Tell us about the making of the film we saw tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and Sarah and Taylor and Anna. It's a privilege to be here with these guys. When I look down the line, I can't believe it that I'm sitting up here with these people, and I really hope there's a defibrillator in the lobby. Which brings up this story about Bud. I don't know if you noticed at the end, we had him come down to the beach and swim out. We wanted him to catch a wave. And he was huffing and puffing, just getting on his wetsuit at 86 years old. And mind you, this is after he went bungee jumping in New Zealand. But my cameraman was filming him as Bud was going out, and he said, "It looks like Bud's really struggling. You better wave him back in." And I go, "Really? Yeah, you don't want to be the guy known that killed Bud Browne." But he was actually very easy to talk to because he was so passionate about making movies and filmmaking. And I looked at what he accomplished and how he inspired us to tell this story and capture these guys and bring it to an audience so that we could keep that stoke alive. And that's pretty much the heart and soul of the whole experience.
Thank you, Ira.
Thank you.
The next question is for Joey Cabell. Joey, you are surfing's golden boy. You live the dream and continue living the dream. But it all had to begin somewhere. Tell us about when surfing came into your life. How did it? And who were the greatest influences that started you on your journey?
Well, I first want to thank you for inviting me and setting up this fabulous experience for us all, and a chance for all of us to share our life experiences. Anyway, I grew up at Waikiki Beach in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and so I go back a ways. And so first I have to just say that with all these people in this audience, and most of them, many of them I've been in the lineup with, I really want to say it's been an incredible experience growing up in Waikiki. I see them all over, that we've been sharing this lifestyle together. So you have to earn that. It's called respect. It's not free. And without that respect, you know, hey, Bob, you ought to now. Kind of right away with us already. So anyway, that was where I grew up, and started surfing with Rabbit. And early days, George Downey kind of looked after me when I was there at 7 years old. So I go back with all these guys, and then over the years we surfed together and became part of the Ohana. So anyway, we have another fellow here. I want to introduce Joe Quigg. He's sitting right in front of us here. Joe was very early on everything that had to do with surfboards, boats, and designing, and fiberglassing. He was way beyond everybody in the 40s and the 50s, and this catamaran Gusto that he developed and showed everybody how fast a catamaran was in those early days. Came to Hawaii and built a boat for Bob Casey, and then I had a chance to take a mold off the hull. So we go back, and I can just say that you're really an amazing person, and we really appreciate what you contributed to the world of surfing. Also boat building, canoe building for the outrigger, and just many ways. You were the man. Mahalo.
Jeannie Chesser, you've been surfing for nearly 50 years. Amazing. What was it like to be in a predominantly male sport back then, as opposed to now?
Hello, this is on. Well, it was way better back then because there was hardly any other girls. So, of course, I liked being the only one. Like I am tonight. Thank you very much. But yeah, it was great. I loved it. I still love it.
Okay, thank you, Jeannie. Randy Rurick. The Triple Crown of Surfing is the apex of the World Tour, the coveted prize. The waves never age, but the faces are continuously changing. You've seen them all through the decades as executive director of this elite event. Tell us about your involvement in the Triple Crown, its inception, and how it all began.
Well, thanks, Anna. I think everybody said thanks to Taylor and the film festival. I think it's great for those of you out there that get a chance to see the films and then listen to stories by all these great watermen and water ladies. And for me, I was a little kid. I got to watch Joey in Waikiki. My mom was a florist at the what used to be the Kaiser Hilton Hawaiian Village, which is now the Hilton. And I grew up in Waikiki as well. And Rabbit taught me how to surf when I was 10 years old. So I got an early start. And I always thought that competition was pretty neat because I got to surf in the early Makaha contest, and Rabbit and George Downey and Buffalo and all the guys. And my contemporaries were David Nuiva and Jerry Lopez and Hackman, and everybody surfed at Makaha. And I always thought that surfing, back then they would call people surf bums, and I thought that was such an injustice to be. We were having such a cool lifestyle, and why do they consider us bums? And so through competition, I decided early on that I wanted to make surfing respectable. And when I got involved in competitions, I was a junior competitor, and then I decided to switch to administration. So I got into running the events really early on. Fred Hemmings and myself started the IPS, which was the predecessor to today's WSL. And really what I wanted to do was make surfing legitimate. And I knew that professional surfing was going to be the way of the future. And people bagged on me early on and said, oh, it's a soulful sport, you know, it's not about competition. And I said, one day guys are going to be making millions of dollars. And I saw John the other day and I said, what are you up to these days? And he says, oh, about $3 million a year. So a lot of these guys up here and competed in events that I ran back from the 70s all the way up through just a few years ago. And so I really, to say, Anna, I said the Triple Crown was my goal to make it the prestige of Hawaii, because there's great surf contests around the world, and I wanted the 3 events climaxing with the Pipe Masters to be what Hawaii's was a gift to the world of sport. And I like to think that professional surfing has come a long way since when we were surf pups.
Amazing. Always seeking a new challenge. I know you're still surfing big. What's your secret of keeping the thrill forever young?
Well, looking at my forebears that took me under their wing, like George and Wally, Russ Takaki, people like that, and having met the Duke when he was alive, it was, you know, when you're stoked already, you know, as a young 14, 15-year-old kid, and you get to meet these guys, and they actually are telling you, you know, hey, here's your Jersey kid, go get him, you know, and you go, whoa. You know, I got some encouragement from, you know, one of my heroes that becomes instilled in you to be able to continue that, you know, that stokedness, but to be able to meet people that were from your father's era and have them tell you about, or you know about what they did, and to be able to shake their hand and have them give you a pat on the back is just, to me, pure gold. So it's not that tough of a thing, you know, to have a sense of enthusiasm from growing up in surfing, having parents that taught you ocean skills, and then have some of the people that you looked up to always, you know, just give you, you know, a kind word or two. And surfers have got a good sense of humor too, or maybe they'll play a joke on you, like Jose Angel was great. Hey, come on, Jock, this is an easy way. Oh yeah, okay, let's go. Or you're just, oh no! It's too late. You're in for it. So that's what it is, and it's just being enthusiastic and having other people that came before you, you know, give you a kind word or two, and you're in there.
Thank you. Bud narrated his earlier films live, but soon after, you became the voice of his films. Tell us about that working relationship.
Bud Browne is a classic, and working with him was really a real pleasure and entertaining. I remember he would have a box and he would have masking tape, and he would cut out a film and put it, either it would go in the box with the rejects or it would go on this, he'd tape it to the side as a contender. And I remember seeing a wave myself, and I think, but that's a good wave, right in the middle of the box. But I just want to say one thing. Joe Quigg, I don't know if any of you guys know this, but he is the innovator of all innovators in surfing. I think that he and Matt Kivlin and Bob Simmons probably contributed as much to today's modern surfboards as anybody. And Joe is a real craftsman. When he does anything, it's perfect shape, perfect wood, I mean the whole thing. And I really admire Joe, and I must say, Joe and I are one of the few Santa Monicans around from our era, so it's a real honor to have Joe here.
And if I just, a lot of people give credit to Bob Simmons, but realistically, through all the surf auctions I did back in the 2000s, I researched all the design characteristics, and Joe Quigg is the father of the modern day surfboards, hands down. So Joe Quigg.
I want to add that when I first started surfing back in 1944-45 in Malibu, I think the two best surfers at Malibu at that time were Joe Quigg and Matt Killen. And I think Matt Killen was the John and the Kelly Slater of that era. He was really a good surfer and a good man. And he and Joe did a lot of work together. I just want to add a little bit to the knowledge of Matt Killen. I don't know if any of you know of him, but he was really a tremendous surfer.
Tell us about the filming of the stolen surfboard.
Well, I go way back in early surfing. Joey was one of my early mentors when I was a young teenager, growing up in Laguna Beach. And Bud was, our local filmmaker. And he needed young kids like myself to put posters up on the telephone poles or put them in the windows of stores, and that was the early form of advertising for surf films in those days. So I was part of his early workers, but that particular shoot that we did was pretty interesting because that old house got torn down a couple of days later after we were there, and we kind of tore it up a little bit while we were there. But Bud would turn his camera upside down to make all those events that were going look like they were going backwards. They were actually going forwards. So the guy when he got pulled through the door, he actually dove through the door. And when he was getting drugged down the steps, he was actually going up the steps. So that whole sequence of events changed when he turned the camera upside down. I remember asking him, "How did you do that? Oh, why did you do that?" "Oh, you saw me turn the camera upside down." So, but Bud he was a wonderful guy. He was just he became a friend of our family when I lived in the Pipeline back in their late 60s. He would come by our place. We lived right where where Jerry Lopez, the Pipeline house was. That was our front yard before that house was there. In fact, I built a stable for my wife there, and there's a horse there. But Bud would come by, take a shower. He was a vegetarian, so my wife we'd have these big, giant vegetarian meals with rice and stacks of vegetables, and he'd take that camera that we saw in the film tonight over to the sink and wash it out and dry it, and we'd have, eat food, and Larry was always entertaining him, and yeah, he was a wonderful guy. And I got to talk with him like 4 days before he passed, and he told me, "Billy," he said, "Is this you, Billy Hamilton?" I go, "Yeah, Bud." He goes, "Oh, Bill, I just want to tell you how important it is to have family and friends in your lifetime." I said, "Thanks, Bud. I love you, man." That's it.
Larry Bertelman, your style of surfing was unlike any other, ever. Tell us about what led you to it.
Give us a story.
Just wanted to do something that nobody was doing. Be creative. And I know one thing that always kept in my mind, I have my locals, is anything is possible. If you really want to do something, you can do it. The only reason other people say you can't, but the reason why they say that is because they can't. Like, just get out there and do it. And it's pretty good, actually. And I remember you were talking about changing out of the surfers and surf bums to That was another little thing too. Changing the attitude. It's been a nice ride.
So is there nothing to do with the toes?
Oh, that's my secret. Not telling anybody. That's my second pair of hands.
Thank you. I had the privilege of hanging out with Chemo last week, and don't worry, Chemo, I'm not going to make you sing a song tonight. But I do want to know, you are a vessel of wisdom. What wisdom do you have to share with us tonight?
My grandmother came from Madeira, around the horn to Hawaii. So I got the papers. So my dad would take me out to Pops to watch me surf, watch Conrad surf. And when Conrad won the Makaha, my father was so very proud of that. Lately, me and Cole have been going down to see him, and he really takes it terrific. You know, no hard feelings. And he just is so proud that, you know, he could be a champion surfer and canoe paddler and fisherman. And I'm sure he would want me to tell all of you folks, you know, thank you.
You've shaped for them all, and you've shaped many. Is there one surfer that you remember above all others?
One surfer that I remember the most is Duka Hanamoku. For me, he was, excuse me. For me, he was the biggest inspiration in the sense of not just an athlete, but as a person. Because I was lucky enough to talk with him at times, and that times for me was really, really precious for where I wanted to go in the sport that I was in. Because I came in very late. I came in and I started 23, 24 years old. So I was sort of in a rush. But by watching the world around, by being lucky enough to travel the world and see the other countries and people how they are in whatever they're trying to pursue, this is how I learned mostly. Not really from over here in Hawaii, because we're limited over here. Everything's too good. Thank you.
For Clyde. Clyde, you are tied to surfing through a lineage that travels back in time when surfing was the sport of kings. It is immersed within you genetically, woven through your very DNA. For you, surfing Waimea Bay is surely a connection that is complexly intertwined. More so than others that enter the North Shore arena, long after your ancestors. Tell us, what does it mean to you when you surf the bay, Waimea Bay?
Well, you know, first of all, I want to make acknowledgement to people who was Eddie's hero and my hero. And they're right here on this stage right now. Peter Cole. We used to go down to the Shell in the 60s, and we used to watch Bud Browne's big wave movies. And there was Peter Cole charging all the time. And me and Eddie, we was trying to look for one Hawaiian, you know, because everybody else was Holly guys, right? Rick Doyle, Stan, you know, Mike Doyle. So me and Eddie trying to wait for the Hawaiian drop in, right? And there he was, Kimo Hollinger. These guys are big inspiration for us, you know, and I'd like to make special alohas to Joe Quigg, because he's ultimately the man. Me and him used to sail in Waikiki, sailboard riding, windsurfing for years, and we used to have a lot of fun with Joey Cabell. Windsurfing was happening. In fact, a very quick one, when we lost Eddie, and we all know that when you lose someone, it's really hard to like survive. It's really hard to recoup, you know, because you miss them so much, you know, you love them so much, you do everything with them, ride the biggest waves in the world, chase the Holly girls, go, fishing, diving, whatever, you know, me and Eddie. But, you know, windsurfing in 1979, Eddie got lost in 78. But in 1979, the sport of sailing, windsurfing, took over my whole body, my whole mind. I never see my wife for 1 year. My business, everything. Big wave riding on the North Shore was zero, and I had engulfed myself in the sport of windsurfing, and that's what really had pushed me above the loss of Eddie. I just wanted to express that very quickly. Another one is I wanted to acknowledge Mark Cunningham, you know, he the man, Bonsai Pipeline, you know, Ripple Mark, Body Surf, but the question was what now? Waimea Bay is, you know, again, watching all the big dogs, you know, Greg Noe with his black and white striped shots, and Eddie with his red and white shots. And the day was 1967, November 19th. And I'm calling it Wednesday, but guys tell me that it was Tuesday, but I'm saying Wednesday. November 19th, 1967. That day, according to me, Uncle Clyde, was the biggest rideable day at Waimea, all the way up. You got to get this one, all the way up until the last Eddie we had, which was a year and a half ago. We actually have a picture of Eddie where his board is 12 feet long and it goes down the face of the wave like 7 times, you know? So big wave, 1967. But Eddie was my inspiration all the way, and I wanted to be on the side of him, riding the biggest waves that came in to the bay. And Waimea is really special for us because, a real quick one, my great-great-grandfather was Heva Heva. And Heva Heva 100 years ago was the caretaker of Waimea Valley, Waimea Sugarcane, Waimea Park, Waimea Beach, Waimea Bay. My great-great-grandfather 100 years ago was the official caretaker of that entire area. And then fast forward, 1967, Eddie rides the biggest wave in the world at that time. And then Eddie becomes the first lifeguard in 1967. You know, and again, I really want to say very quickly that I joined Eddie in 69 and we worked there all the way up to 78. And we worked there for 10 years and we never lost one life. And in those years, we had no jet skis, helicopters, Zodiac boats. It was just surfboard, fins, and saving lives. So, you know, I'm really proud of that.
Okay, at this time I'd like to open it up. This is your chance. If you have any questions for our guests, please feel free. You should have a roving mic going around, I think. Okay, go ahead, Scott.
You may recall, by now everyone knows that you're family with Anna Trent. That's largely due in part to your deep friendship with Buzzy. And for those who haven't heard it, could you please tell us how you and Buzzy first met on the playground and how you became friends?
Yeah, that was we had a little football. This was recess at Roosevelt Grammar School. I think we were in the 3rd grade, we were in the 5th grade, and Buzzy was in the 6th grade. And Buzzy and Kid Horn were in the same grade. And Buzzy took our football away from us when we were playing football. Corny didn't like that, my twin brother. I had an identical twin brother named Corny. And Corny didn't like it and gave Buzzy kind of a bad time about it. And Buzzy said, well, let's get together and have a little bit of a brawl out in this lot next to the school after school that day. And Corny said, okay. And I told Corny he was totally insane, I wasn't going to have anything to do with this. But Corny went out there with Buzzy and Kit. Kit was there with Buzzy, and Buzzy just hit Corny. Corny went down the ground, and Buzzy hit Corny, and Corny went down the ground. Buzzy hit Corny again, Corny went down the ground, and then all of a sudden Buzzy hugs Corny and says, I'm sorry. And it's really funny because Kid Horn, Buzzy, and myself and Corny became best of friends. And from that time on, we were best of friends, and whenever I had any problem with anybody, Buzzy would take care of it for me. Buzzy was a classic. Anybody that knew Buzzy that ever got in the lineup with him, he had a personality, he had charisma that you wouldn't believe. And it's just a real pleasure to have known Buzzy and to be with Buzzy and all those years. And we really are proud of Buzzy and all the Santa Monica guys that I grew up with, and including Joe and Kivlin and everybody. But Buzzy was just a classic, and it's hard to say how wonderful the guy was, but he was a real classic friend.
I knew Buzzy too quite well because he was there always around. And in '63, we had a Macaw contest, and the board I was riding with. It was just all in the laser, maybe one of the bigger contests at that time. But the bowl might have been 15 plus and bigger. So, Buzzy, can I use that gun that you have, that big long gun on the beach there? Can I take that out and use it? Yeah, go take it out. So anyway, I'm on this board now. This is a 12-foot long, big gun board that Buzzy rode. And you could paddle on your knees, and I was a good paddler in those days. I could paddle on my knees, and you'd see the sets coming, right? And I could stand up on that board and look at as farthest set out and decide which one I wanted to get on. So because of that board, I had a chance to I could win in that contest that year. But also, at the very end of Buzzy's reign on this planet, he was walking. Every day he'd be walking on Canyon Highway, and I'd see him because I'd be bike riding, and I'd always stop and show a little respect to Buzzy, how's it, bro? How you doing? Everything good? And he told me then, you know, I've been walking here every day, and I've been walking, this big Hawaiian is walking the other way, and he would move out of my way, and he'd always make me move out of the way. So the next day, I didn't want that to happen. So when he was walking next to me, I went, wham, on his shoulder so hard, I figured, wow, this guy's going to give me trouble. But he really, you know, Buzzy was a fighter. We know that, right? And so he was ready to have a rumble with this guy, even at his own rules. And then another week went by, and we saw him in the park, and I knew he was getting ready to check out. So I went up to him, we spent an afternoon, Anna, my wife, was with me, and we gave Buzzy the last little respect that we could. We knew he was ready to already. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. It's a real honor to be part of your family. Mahalo.
Joey, may I say something?
Yes.
Well, gosh, I can't remember. The ladies in this world, the first, well, I did the construction business and all the mechanics of boards, but the thing that changed it was progressively, starting in the late 40s, these girls started coming to me, and you could say, well, girls had nothing to do with it, but wrong they did. A bunch of girls kept coming to me for the new shapes and an easy rider covered, and they've not gotten any credit for that. So the girls never got any credit for that. It could have been men, or it could have been children, or it could have been old guys, or whatever. But it wasn't. It was girls that caused me to shape the new shapes that are still today and still going around the world. And I just wanted to give the ladies a credit. I'd like to say, pardon? Yeah. Aren't we lucky to have gotten into this happy, wonderful sport of surfing?
Any other questions?
I have a question. John, was it 62 or 65? You were on the cover of Surfer Magazine dropping in a pipe with that blue and white board. Some still have, I love it. Euro from the Cape, what do you call it? Airways. They used to sell motorhomes. And have a gorgeous, big frame of that. And I have the original Surf Magazine too from all those days. I remember that. That was a beautiful morning you surfed that day. It was kite class.
Yeah, in the user credit, it could have been, but to get a picture on the cover, you had a lot of people going, oh, you get swell head now, huh, right? Top notch, huh? And so you had to be careful of that, of course. You had to be more generous and a little bit more humble when that kind of thing happened, because all of a sudden the pressure's on. But no, it changed things, but not much, because if you were raised the right way, stuff like that, you just go, yeah, fine. You know, is that going to help me on my next wave, or is that going to help me with my peers? And the answer is, not much.
Well, I was aware it didn't sway your head, but it was just a moment, at least for myself, and I'm sure there's other guys in the room who will remember that time that cover came out. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Yep. It was a nice shot.
That's going to have to wrap it up for tonight, but I want to give one more mahalo for our special guest tonight and all of you for coming. Mahalo nui loa.